Everywhere you go, always take the weather with you. Everywhere you go. Finish it?
Always take the weather.
Sexy.
The
That was
weather
like
with you.
South Park when he goes, you can never hit the high F. Do-do-do-do-do. Ah! That's South Park 101 if you're
The
listening.
sun's out at the moment, but it has not been out for much of this week.
If you're wondering, you're not listening to the radio. That was not a live, well, that was a live performance, but that wasn't recorded. I guess it was recorded, but you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the weather and the effect the weather can have on your business.
Yeah.
And I was actually talking to someone the other day, and we did, they were going away for 3 weeks, couple of staff members going away. And I was just highlighting the fact you've got to have a schedule, and then you've got to have a schedule. So you've got to have a schedule of like, hey, here's where you're going to be. But if that schedule, like if you're booking in, you don't know what the plan holds in 3 Wednesdays' time, right? Is it going to be good weather, bad weather? Is it, you might live in rural areas or more tropical areas or city areas. No one can predict the weather outside about a week, really.
And no better place to demonstrate that than Australia.
And if you're in Melbourne, you're probably not even looking a week in advance. You're looking like 17 minutes in advance, going like, it's probably raining this afternoon. It's probably sunny and it's raining now. Like, who knows?
4 seasons in one day.
Sorry.
Sorry.
You do have the voice of an angel. You're correct. Raquel was right.
Ding,
ding. And
feel that rhythm?
It's crazy because like if you part in, part out, and it's interesting when you quote a job, you're not quoting a job going like, if you're allowed 2 days for a job, you're not thinking we'll hit that in 6 half days. You're thinking we'll hit it in 2 8-hour days. So
unless it's next door.
No one quotes a job thinking that they're going to hit it as poorly as they can. So you're going to hit full days, same crew. We know the rules, right? But I was speaking to someone and I was like, well, you only have the schedule for when they're going away. You've got to have a backup. So in case of weather, break glass. In case of weather, change that job around because we can't do that job. I didn't quote to do that job in 4 stints. I didn't quote to do that job, get the pipes out and then we'll finish the condenser later. I didn't quote like, let's get everything done but that. I didn't quote that TV aerial to punch out and then silicon when it was pouring rain. And
really good conversation to have with staff too.
Education around the staff. You don't want a staff member cutting a deck tight when it's thunderstorming in 46 minutes, right? So it's the weather actually matters. And we know how much billable hours matter. We know that. We preach that. We live that. Cam's got a tattoo on his lower back of that. I'm about to get one on my forehead in the middle.
It's flattering.
But the weather has such a great effect on the billable hour. So what you've got to do is you've got to forecast. I know you're not Tim Bailey. Remember Tim Bailey? Did you have Tim Bailey?
Oh, my God. Great man. Shout out to Tim Bailey.
He was so enthusiastic and so energetic.
He was just a good man.
Yeah, I feel like
Tim Bailey, the weatherman.
Did he have long hair but go short?
It's short now, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I saw him kicking around.
But it was like wavy rock star-y.
It was like
blowing in the wind.
I've just been surfing, blonde.
Oh,
long hair.
So sexy.
Just 90s.
If you're listening to him, call me.
Yeah.
See what happens. Yeah. Just go for dinner, see what happens. Right? So
that went really quick.
Yeah. It was just, hey, you get your window of opportunity. I keep preaching that, right? So you've got to take the weather into consideration because it does matter and it can have a great effect on your hours. And if you're not getting the hours and you're not making the money, it can cause a great deal of stress and frustration to everyone involved, personally and professionally, right? So plan the best around the weather. It's not like if you've got an underground job digging that trench, maybe you can't do it that day, or maybe digging the trench the day before at the risk of raining the next day is not a thing. So really, really take the weather into consideration. And this is why it really highlights the importance of having a diversified range of works. And it really highlights the importance of having options, right? So we used to do a bunch of exit emergency lighting in a bunch of different commercial places. So it was, 4 to 6 days per one, like big places. And you'd have the flexibility. Did it happen in December 2 or January 14 or somewhere in between? Gold jacket, green jacket, it was irrelevant. So if the weather hit, you're like, let's go there. Hey, funny story, right? I remember
funny story.
We used to wear, at this bakery we used to work at, we used to wear runners because it was like legit 2 football fields long. You know those ones where it might as well be a cardio session? It's like you're just walking back, forth, up, down, across. They'd wear runners, and everyone in there would wear runners. And I remember like driving to work. I don't know what year this was, but I really had a couple of staff members. I'm like, this is going to be the best year yet. And this place was in Alexandria, so like in a city, and it used to have really poor drainage, so the place would flood. I remember just going, this is my year, baby. We're coming to get it. Like, yeah, this is it. And jumped out of the car, literally like first day back, first job back, stepped out of the car into like a knee-deep puddle, just wet runners for the rest of the day. And I was like,
squelchy.
Yeah, just making it.
At the end of the day.
It definitely did, but I was just like, I ended up having a good year that year. But it just goes to show, don't let yourself get knocked back by a puddle. But puddles happen. So, but yeah, weather, such an important thing to take consideration. So look, plan to the best of your knowledge. Make sure. I know you just said this off camera. Make sure your staff are aware.
Yeah. Contingencies. Let them know what they are. Have a backup plan. Have alternatives. One thing I'm really big of is there is stuff. I like to call it stuff. There's always things to do every single year within the business, right? So if you've got a warehouse facility, industrial shed, a shed, an office of some sort, you're going to have some sort of maybe 3 monthly, 6 monthly, at the very least, there's going to be at least an annual sort of tidy up or some tasks that needs to be done, because the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. And everyone knows that if you kick the can down the road, you eventually walk past it again. So you've got to address it. So don't bury your head in the sand. There's going to be some time that you need things to be done, and the people to do those things are the staff, right? So you may have your shelving, and it just needs to be all pulled off, cleaned down, and then everything put back on there. And the stuff that doesn't belong there anymore gets turfed. You may have the shelf of, every electrical business has the shelf of, that's where it goes when no one knows where it's meant to go, and it's just chaos. So sort it out. Why did Warren put back the isolator that has no screws in it? Why did Jimmy put the switchboard back on there that has no cover on it anymore?
Get stuffed, Warren.
It's like it's not needed anymore, so throw it out. So there's always something to do. I like to finish off the year always with getting the guys to sort the vehicles out, give them a quick clean down. What it does is it prepares you for the new year, so that you're starting off on the right foot. So no one wants to come back with a van that's loaded to the hilt with all the trophers that you pulled out of the LED light upgrade on January 8th. And it's like, can you fit in the 3 new switchboards we're about to put in? No, I cannot, because it's full of shit.
Where's my screwdriver? It's under the second drop sheet on the southwest corner of the van underneath that branch.
Yeah. So I guess identify what task needs to be done. There's so many little things that need to be done. It could be as simple as, hey, I've done this before. The warehouse that we worked at, we just had a quick working bee on there one day, cleaned up all the gardens. I know like rain in this instance isn't going to be amazing, but it's more forgiving. We cleaned up all the gardens, planted some new trees, and gurneyed down the driveways. And like it just finished off the year, or finished off that time of the week when we get a few things done. It was another job that needed to be done, because the thing is, and remember this, is that regardless of who does it, someone was going to be paid to do the job. So don't think of it as, because the next question people will come to me is that, but that chews into my billable hours. But you may have paid a landscaper to do that job. You may have paid a high pressure cleaner to come in to do the job. So regardless of who does the work, it was going to be paid for anyway. And I think that's a really key point, because I know you and I have discussed it before, that it was going to happen anyway. So don't get too caught up in who's actually being paid to do it.
Yeah, and I think a big thing to understand, and this is just the weather to me throws such an incredible importance on the schedule. So I know people that set their alarm at 2:00 every day, and it's like, has the schedule been organised for tomorrow? Because people are happy to get moved around if you can't do the job. Yeah. That's fair enough, right? So, but if you're going to move someone forward from 2 or 3 days that you can get out, like they don't want to call it 7:00 at night. They don't want to call at 10 o'clock at night. They don't want to call that morning going, hey, we're just around the corner. Like, hey, I'm at the front. Or like a knock, knock, knock. I'm surprised. Like,
urgent,
so,
like, to call people outside of the work hours.
So before 4 o'clock, your schedule has to be booked tomorrow. Yes, you're going to have to check the weather at that point. Yes, you might have to move things around, but moving something around between 2 and 4 versus 4 and 6 is worlds apart. Versus 6 to 8, not even a thing.
Versus
like
6 a.m.
versus 6 a.m. Like, I'm just at the wholesaler picking up an isolator for your house. Like, that's very stressful. And I think what we're trying to encourage everyone in your business is like, you know, you want to make money, of course, but you also, sometimes you're just losing so much money. And sometimes you can be losing money through sheer schedule disorganization or sheer like turning up and it's like you kind of half do a job and it's 10 o'clock and it starts pouring rain and you're like, oh, you know, we're going to call it today. And then because you were so disorganized, you can't put that next job forward. So you end up going to the pub for lunch or going home or going to the wholesaler. So you burnt a whole day just because you didn't spend 15 minutes a day before checking the weather and reorganizing. So it's like sometimes you can lose money so easily as a business owner. And I guess business is about making money and not losing money, especially with the weather can throw such a curveball. But that curveball, hey, we live in a great age. We're not looking at the paper anymore for weather. We're not looking to the stars or the sky. We're looking to an iPhone app, which is pretty solid.
Everyone has Robbo on site who's like on a larger job you're working at, there's always that one guy who's like the weatherman.
He's got like no shoes, big gaps between his toes.
He's just like, it's going to be raining by the end of the week. And you're like, it's a bold call, Robbo.
He's like, smell that?
Yeah.
It's raining. It's going to rain.
I've worked with a few of them, the weathermen. They're never right.
I feel like they're hilarious. They're always Robbo too. Yeah.
You used to have plans, but also
there's an element of arrogance around Robbo, I reckon.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of pent up sort of regret and hate amongst their lives through poor choices.
The weather's caused a lot of dramas to weather.
But then another thing you can have a look at also too is identifying the other jobs that you have. So I know you talked about really quickly the emergency lighting that you have on a large high-rise tower or something like that. Keep always in mind is like, do we have an indoor job that we could send multiple people to? You may already have 2 people on the job. Can we send another 2 teams there? And will that help out on the job? Sending an extra 2 teams may be a hindrance. So just having an idea and identifying what jobs you also have on the go where you can park some people. Not ideal, like sometimes, because there's going to be a little bit of travel. We get that. But it's an ideal sense as in that we've got them to go somewhere and we are getting productivity out of them.
It just throws in the importance of diversification. So that home-based job. So you quote that project for 200, 300, 400 grand, 100 grand, whatever. And if it's cost plus and you can achieve great work there, throw some people at it. So we used to have pubs that it really wouldn't matter if there was 2, 4 or 6 people there. We used to have units where it was pouring rain, gap in the schedule, like throw them in there. So you have that last minute, like don't need to organize a schedule, staff meeting. Hey, if we got a gap, throw them in there. Now, what I want to encourage everyone, the end of that year, there's more to look at than profit for that one job. So when your job costs in that job, it's like, I made 8%, 12% or whatever. That's not good enough. You're better than that. You deserve better. You should have gone more and up your prices. It's like, there's so much more to consider, right? Like did you use that job as a home base? How much did that job benefit you during the year? Did it keep your billable hours up? Did it keep your staff moving? Was it pouring rain? Was it a monsoon? Was there just a tsunami? Like, who cares? We're going to that job on level 6 and roughing in. And I think that's how you treat those. That's why you need those big jobs. That's why you need that decent sized job, because it's usually got a roof on it and it's usually undercover. Usually there's tools on site and if someone's coming on board, there's 2 people running it. All they do is bring in their hand tools and they chuck it out. Also want to highlight in the weather, hey, get some rain jackets for your people.
Rain jacket, gold jacket?
Rain jacket.
Yeah, get some rain jackets.
Get a thin rain jacket, like a loose thing, because there's nothing worse than working in a wet jumper in the cold. And plus, it looks super cool.
But also, even just good in the sense of like, you're not there like, you need to dig that trench and it's monsoon. It's just like,
I've quoted 7 hours on this.
Maybe it started raining and they need to get the gear from inside a property back out to the van. So it just gives them the ability to shoot back and forward and get the last little bits and pieces sorted, so they're not getting in the car and they're like a drowned rat. So it's just a consideration. It shows like that you do care and like just a bit of, I guess, general respect at the end of the day for like your staff.
Absolutely. So plenty of stuff to do in the rain. We didn't even consider staff training at the warehouse, or toolbox meetings or safety meetings or first aid meetings, like the kind of things you can predict the weather and kind of bump forward and bits and pieces like that. It's huge. Like I would encourage everyone, or building a switchboard for that job coming up. Lots of things to consider, lots of stuff. I would be wary, like I do worry when people like, oh, we'll just get them in the office to quote. If it's not a long-term solution and someone's sitting next to you and you're explaining everything and it's like you've just got a small child next to you distracting you and that you're just hitting it for that one day and there's no longevity in like a 3-year plan, probably not best to get them quoting.
No. But you could use, so definitely, particularly if you've got some senior team members in your team, an opportunity you could look at, instead of maybe you going to visit the site that needs to be quoted on, send one of the team members there and be like, hey mate, this is the scope of it. Give me a call when you get there, right? And I'll run through so you understand it. And not only does it save your time, because you can keep doing what you're doing, there's a bit of education into it. And generally speaking, a couple of your senior guys, you've probably identified that you're like, hey, so this is beneficial to put the other side of the coin to what you're saying before. It's probably a potential path for them leaving into the future. So when you go away on holidays, it's like the quoting doesn't stop. It's like, hey, Jimmy can go out there and he can start to get a feel for, how to put it together, how to get the information. Because a lot of the time, just going to the site for the quote is just information gathering. Yes, it's ideal to quote on site if possible, but sometimes just getting the information, if they can slam out 4 or 5 visits in that day, that gives you the ability to be like bang, 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 get them out also, and it creates the pipeline for work.
Also highlights the importance of a checklist. So if you build it out on jot form or an A4 bit of paper, or like you just got something on whatever, a template, a template, job management especially, so you can be, hey, I need photos of these things, I need these details, and we can piece a quote together from the office once you get that. So a lot of the time it's information gathering, and it really, like, a lot of people are using, what does Owen Wilson say? I think we only use 10% of our hearts. Like people say they use 10% of their brain. Like a lot of people are using 10% of their job management system or 10% of the automation available out there. So it's like, get it firing. Like an office rainy day, for you personally, build your pre-builds, check your price book, get on top of your systems, processes, build a rough-in checklist, build a fit-off checklist, like involve the staff in that whole thing.
Ask them, hey, this is what we've got made up. Can you just run it through as like
is it any good?
A dry run on it, on a wet day, a dry run, and be like, oh, no, you spelt that word wrong, or what does this mean? Or, no, we need to add in these items as well, because you have all the best intentions in the world as the business owner. And generally speaking, you've probably never made a mistake in your life, much like myself and Crowie. We're error-free.
We're borderline Jesus. Except he died. We're still living, baby. Nah, he's still alive, depending on who talks to.
But what you'll find is that they may interpret things slightly different, or they may do things slightly different. And look, the old saying that 2 heads are better than one, I think really rings true when you're trying to roll out a couple of processes, because otherwise you turn out a bit sort of Kim Jong-un-ish, and that's dictator, and no one wants to work for a dictator.
No one wants to work for a dickhead or dictator. Same thing, probably.
It turns into it.
Yeah, it's all one and the same. Yeah. So get out there and predict. You can't predict the weather, but you do have a phone that does predict the weather. So grab it, embrace it. Look in the 21st century. Get some planning, get some hours, get some structure, get some processes. You got this, and we've got you.
Have them in place. Have Plan B.
Everyone needs a Plan B. Much love. See you soon.